Welcome to Community Insight Broadcast, a ministry of Churches Outreach Network. I am your host, Denisha Harris, and we're very pleased today to have a very special guest with us. His name is Richard Zeck. He's the Executive Director of Council on Aging. So we're very blessed and privileged to have him here today to talk a little bit about the program and the mission of seniors. How are you doing, Rich?
I'm doing great, and thank you for having me here today. It's always a pleasure to work with Churches Outreach Network and with Pastor Coles and all the fine people associated with the group, and just to get the message out about what different people are doing in our community.
Wonderful. Now, it's getting cold outside, so I know both of us are kind of fighting some nasally throat things today, so we hope the listening audience will bear with us. But other than that, thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. We certainly appreciate it. And as you mentioned, you do work with Pastor Coles and Churches Outreach Network collaboratively as we help a very special population. And what is that population?
Well, the population that the Council on Aging serves is the senior population, and because of the ruralness of Pitt County, many of our seniors are really dramatically affected by where they live, and let alone conditions that are economic conditions or health conditions, but because they're so isolated, the senior population is the primary focus of what the Council on Aging serves, is the older population of Pitt County.
Okay, great. And so help us understand a little bit about some of the programs and the initiatives and how you serve that senior population.
Sure. Well, the Council on Aging has been around for 45 years, and a lot of people really don't know who we are or understand what we do. So in a nutshell, what the Council on Aging is it's an aging agency that serves older adult needs. That could be food, it could be transportation, it could be incontinence supplies, it could be home repairs, whatever you could think of that an older adult may need, that's what we do. So we provide such a wide variety of services. Some people know us for the Meals on Wheels program. Some people will know us for Medicare counseling. Some people will know us for falls prevention and home safety initiatives. So there's so many different things that we do. We're kind of the one-stop shop for anything aging related. And the ironic thing about aging in Pitt County is that 4 years ago, the average person who called us was 74 years old. Well, that makes sense. You're an aging agency. Today, it's 48 years old. And so people may say, well, why would a young person be calling you? Well, because of social media and programs like this where we educate the community on the services that we provide, people are calling us about their mom, their dad, their next door neighbor, their grandmas, their grandpas, and saying, they need this, can you help them? So we've really connected to a whole new segment of Pitt County, which really is all of Pitt County should be interested and involved in what happens with seniors, whether they have a family member or not. Seniors have a dramatic impact on Pitt County.
That is really wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. And it's interesting to note how the folks calling you are the children, perhaps, or the friends or the neighbors, perhaps, of the senior population who need that assistance. And so you mentioned several things that you do. Number one, you're a one-stop shop. So that's a blessing. But anything from food, transportation assistance, home repairs. You do the Meals on Wheels program, which we know has been around for a long time and serving a lot of great people, and Medicare counseling. So several things that you all provide as far as services are concerned. Do you have a target population? Is it just the elderly, or are there other stipulations to qualify for your services?
Well, the majority of our funding, we are a nonprofit, so we're a 501c3. So the majority of our funding comes from donors. We have grants, we have foundations, but the borderline is usually 60 years old, and again, it's all based on funding. And one example is that, we won't turn anyone away. Our ultimate goal, our mission is to serve. We're a servant agency. And so many people will come to us. We share our individual faith, and we always talk about love, faith, and hope. But unless you've looked into the eyes of a 75-year-old woman who lives in Bethel, who is alone and isolated and scared and has no one, they've lost hope. And so part of what we need to really connect back into our community is giving people a sense of hope. Because sometimes I can share my love, I can share my faith, I can share all the great news that is really happening, but hope and the loss of hope blinds people. And how many times people will come to me and say, nobody really cares about me. And it's really sad when seniors who have given so much to their own children, to the community, who are basically put to the side and are disconnected. And suicide is one of the highest rising health concerns for many seniors. And that's in part because of that hopelessness. So by myself and our agency, when we talk, it's really about educating people of how seniors really impact all of us.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I appreciate you mentioning that about sometimes the senior population can feel isolated. They can feel as if they don't have anyone they can really turn to. But yet there's this organization called the Council on Aging that can serve to be that hope, if you will, or that rope to kind of pull them back. So wonderful work that you're doing. And then speaking of hope, I know that you, along with some other organizations, including Churches Outreach Network, are providing some holiday cheer to the seniors. Can you tell us a little bit about the luncheon that's coming up?
Sure. We have a luncheon coming up the first Tuesday in December, December the 3rd at 11:30 at the First Presbyterian Church. And it's an opportunity for all seniors across Pitt County to come together as one. So this isn't about one town or one area. It's all the area. And through Churches Outreach, collaborative effort with so many different partnering agencies, we're just one small piece on what we can do to bring people together. We live in a world that is continually divisive, continually likes to compartmentalize of who you are, and we're trying to break down barriers and bring people together as one. And this Christmas party will be a celebration of the reason for the holiday, and that's Christ's birth. And secondarily, to bring people together as one community, to fellowship and have a nice warm meal and just to share in the spirit of the holiday. So I'm pretty excited about it, and it's a fabulous thing. Last year was our first big joint one together, and we're looking to do even more this year. And it's just so nice because many people don't have that opportunity to connect, and so many of them will wear some special hat or a clothing or a coat to come out and feel special. And they are special, and we really want to let them know how special they are.
Wonderful. So the celebration is going to take place on a Tuesday, and it's going to be December 3rd at First Presbyterian in Greenville?
Yes.
Wonderful. And so it's an opportunity to receive a complimentary meal, to fellowship as one, all of the singers coming together. They can wear their special holiday cheer outfit and just have some fun and enjoy themselves.
Absolutely. And all they need to do is they can contact the Council on Aging, which is 752-1717, and say, hey, can you put me on the list to come to the Christmas party? And we'll put your name down on the Christmas list, and you show up, and we're going to feed you, and you're going to have a great time.
Nothing wrong with that, right?
No.
Is there a possibility of transportation if an individual may not be able to get to the party?
There are some opportunities for transportation. Much of the community, again, is coming together, and the Sheriff's Department is coming together to help us with this. And so there are some ways. So if you do belong to an existing group, talk to them. If not, when you contact us, let us know you need transportation, and we'll look at the opportunities of people who have donated transportation to make sure that we can get you there.
Okay, wonderful. And can you give that phone number one more time?
Sure, it's 752-1717, and that is the Council on Aging.
Okay, great. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit more about some of the services that you provide. Number one, you are serving all of Pitt County, correct?
We are. We serve all of Pitt County, from Farmville to Fountain to Bethel to Ayden to Grifton. Wherever you are in Pitt County, we will serve you.
Okay, great. And so can you tell us a little bit about your food program, the Meals on Wheels program?
Sure.
How does that work? How can folks sign up for that?
So Meals on Wheels is a national program, so we provide home delivered meals. Currently, we serve around 300 people Monday through Friday across Pitt County. Now, these are homebound, vulnerable, frail adults. These are not people who are calling to get a free meal. So these are people in tremendous need. 98% of the people who receive a meal live at or below poverty, which is less than $13,000 a year. So these are the neediest of needy people in our community. The sad thing is that while we're feeding 300 people, we have close to 200 people on the waiting list. And in a community our size, people should not be going hungry, particularly homebound, vulnerable adults. And we have many great food programs in our community. We have food banks and we have pantries. But the problem is some of these seniors have zero opportunities for transportation. They have no family. They're isolated and they cannot get to the food. So the home delivered meal for many of them is the only meal they will have all day long. And that's very sad to me that, I will go home tonight and be blessed with dinner, and that many of our seniors will not have that opportunity. Mm-hmm. So Meals on Wheels, home delivered meals, and we have congregate meals that we feed at one of our 5 senior centers across the community, which is Bethel and Ayden and Fountain and Farmville and in Greenville over on County Home Road. So we are feeding people in senior centers and home delivered meals. So that's our largest program, is the Meals on Wheels program.
Okay, that's your largest program. It is a national program. You serve that one meal to your homebound seniors, and that meal goes to your neediest, those who are at a certain income level, I would assume.
It does. And again, we will not turn anyone away. Mm-hmm. They just may be on the list for a while based mm-hmm. upon, the greatest of needs. Mm-hmm. And hunger is an interesting thing. When Jesus tells us to take care of the widows and the poor and the downtrodden, hunger doesn't know man or woman. It doesn't know black or white. Hunger does not discriminate. Mm-hmm. But another interesting statistic is here in Pitt County, it does. Over 80% of the people who receive a meal and are on the waiting list are women. Mm-hmm. And over 65% are African American. Mm-hmm. So hunger affects a very specific part of our community, mm-hmm. which is very disproportionate to the people who live in our community. Mm-hmm. So, bringing awareness to people across the community of who these people may be. And, mm-hmm. We've had people who actually call us from children who may live in Colorado, New Mexico, and say, I want to make sure my mom gets a meal. Can I pay for a meal to make sure she gets fed? Absolutely. You could private pay today and receive a meal as well. But bringing the awareness to the community of the direct impact, and we have Hunger with Children, but again, there are many opportunities for children to be fed in schools and so forth, but for homebound seniors it's not, and mm-hmm. and it's very sad, and that's part of that hopelessness, that they're hungry. They're basically hungry.
Very good. Thank you for bringing that awareness about the populations that are most affected by the terrible situation of being hungry. Yeah. And thank you for the work that you do with the Council on Aging and the Meals on Wheels program. Yeah. Some of the other services that you mentioned were like home repairs and things of that nature. And I know that is a definite need in our community. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Another interesting fact is when you look at age 65 and older, when you look at the direct cause of death for many seniors, one of the leading causes of death is not necessarily cancer or heart disease. It's falls, which most people don't realize or understand. And what's even more fascinating is that there are surveys, national research studies that say over 80% of deaths as a result of a fall is preventable. And these are simple things like grab bars in the bathroom, handrails, night lights. Many seniors, because of medications and so forth, sometimes they're imbalanced. And so it's not just because you're old that you stumble. There's a number of reasons. And so our falls prevention program goes into homes. We do home assessments to find out where are the areas of danger that can be corrected. and we're helping to potentially save lives, let alone prevent injury. And that's what we want to do. Is our goal is to keep seniors independent, living in their own homes for the quality of life that they deserve, not what we determine they deserve.
Great. It's interesting that you mentioned that because my neighbors in my community are seniors. They're in their 80s, living independently, husband and wife, and falls is a real concern for them. They actually have grab little mechanisms that helps them grab things that are something they would have to bend down to reach ordinarily. They have something they can grab so that they don't have to bend down, because just bending down could cause them to lose their balance and could ultimately end up in a fall. And so it's wonderful that this program is around to kind of inventory the homes and see where perhaps there is a potential for a fall and see what can be prevented. So that's really, really awesome as well. And so is there a financial limit as to what you can do as far as repairs of homes, or is it just based upon the need that's in the home?
It's just based upon the need. So again, we're not going to turn anyone away. It just they may be on the waiting list a little bit longer. And you brought up an interesting word that, again, the average person listening today may not think of things. When I ask the person, what do you worry about? And people worry about finances. I worry about my children. I worry about my car. The number one concern for seniors is fear. Fear. They're not afraid. They're afraid of falling. They're afraid of being alone. They're afraid. And we know where fear comes from. It's not from our beliefs. It's the enemy. And the enemy fights with seniors of the worthiness, just like with many people in our society where we're constantly told we're not worthy, you're not worth it. And many of our seniors believe that. And so that fear takes a grip of them and they won't leave their home because they're afraid they'll get mugged or they're afraid they'll fall and they won't even go in their backyard. So fear is real. And again, part of calling us, we can help alleviate some of that fear and maybe put some of it to rest for good by giving them some security and a peace of mind of maybe food or maybe a handrail or maybe Medicare counseling or maybe an incontinence supply. So these are the kind of things that we can help to eliminate fear among seniors.
Great. So when we think about some of the needs and issues that the seniors have, you mentioned perhaps providing incontinence supplies and things of that nature. I also know that medicine is a huge concern for your seniors. Is it something that you're able to provide assistance with, or do you partner with other organizations to provide assistance with medications and either getting those medications or even affording the medication?
And that's a number one concern of many seniors is the cost of prescription drugs. Do I eat? Do I buy some clothing? Do I get transportation to go to a doctor's appointment? Because of the cost of prescription drugs. And during Medicare open enrollment, that's the time where people are checking their plans and finding out, do they have a good plan? Do they have the right plan? And there are so many resources within our community, and many great pharmacies are on board with helping people to direct them. And sometimes they'll even say, call the Council on Aging. And we have tons of resources right here in Pitt County that actually help on those costs. And sometimes there are free prescriptions. Sometimes there's reduced. So there's many opportunities, but it's going to take a phone call. It's going to take a phone call for someone to call us and say, I need help.
Great. So thank you. Thank you for mentioning those resources. A lot of times it's about being a resource repository, if you will, a place where folks can go, that one stop, and say, hey, maybe this next stop on your journey is exactly what you need. And maybe we can partner together to make sure that you get that resource. So that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So again, the Council on Aging is the organization we're talking about. If they wanted to learn more about the resources you provide or get in contact with you individually or some of your staff, could you share some of that with the audience?
Sure. So the best way is always to stop by. So we're located on County Home Road, across the street from the farmer's market, from the animal shelter, and we're next door to the Ellis Keene facility where everyone goes to vote. So we are not the voting place. So we're located on County Home Road. You can call us, 752-1717. You can go to our website, Pitt, Pittcoa.com, Or what everybody really does nowadays is the whole Facebook. We're Pitt County Senior Center on Facebook, and there's information on there every day on activities and events and programs and services. And we provide opportunities for everybody. It doesn't matter what your income level is. It doesn't matter your religion or race. We just want to help older adults. We have trips too. We go to Boston, New Orleans, Florida, so there's all kinds of trips that people can go on. There's so many activities that it would take just an hour of just what goes on in 1 month at the Council on Aging.
Wonderful. And I love that you mentioned social media because a lot of seniors are on social media.
They are.
So it's great to stay connected in that manner. So it sounds like there's a lot of great things that folks can take advantage of, the resources they may need, providing that hope that folks need as seniors, and even some activities to get them out of the house. So that sounds great. One of the things I always like to do is talk about how you got connected with Churches Outreach Network and how you became connected with Pastor Coles. I have my story, so what's yours?
So the interesting thing about Pastor Coles is, now if I didn't have a little sinus issue, I don't talk like y'all down here, but bless your hearts. I'm from the north, and coming down here, he was one of the first people that I met. And we have such an interesting bond. It's like Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson. We bond, and his heart, his servant heart, just continually inspires me to serve more. And some people actually have asked me, is he for real? The man is for real. He just goes nonstop. And I always tell him, I said, even Jesus took a pause. He had Selah times. He went to the garden. He went to the mountain. He took time, and you got to take some time too. And I know, but there's people out there who need food. And he just inspires me. And he's one of those guys. And so many people say the same thing. They look at their phone. Oh, it's Pastor Coles. Whatever it is, I'll do it. And so he has that magnetism because he does it for the glory of God and not for the glory of himself. And sometimes we become a little self-righteous ourselves and saying, hey, I did this and I did this. And we really don't do it. It's God's grace that allows us to do these wonderful things for other people to serve. And the story I always leave people with, that if Jesus was good enough to get down on his hands and knees, the Son of God, God himself as man, and wash the feet, man, how can I get lower than that? And so every day I look for a way to serve people who desperately need us, and there are many of those people who need us.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that story. You're exactly right. Pastor Coles does have a servant's heart, and he inspires us every day to continue in our service as well. There are likely some folks out listening to us today that would like to perhaps partner with you in service. Can you talk about how they could volunteer or even donate to the Council on Aging?
Sure. And sometimes we use scripture and stories, and we don't know the context. So when we talk about the widow and all she had was her wooden bowl, I see that every day, that people have more than I'll ever have. So people will say, I would love to donate, but I don't have the financial resources. There's so much more that you can do that has nothing to do with your finances. But yes, we would love people to donate. It's the year end, and holidays are coming, and we need volunteers, Meals on Wheels volunteers. We need people to help us in our kitchen to prepare the deliveries for people. So there are many opportunities, and all you need to do is call us and say, I'm not sure what I can do, and let's just talk, and let's see what you can do.
Very good. Now, can you tell us one more time how we can get in contact with you, whether by phone or on the web?
Sure. So call us at 752-1717, and our website is Pitt, PITTCOA.com, and you can look us up on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that youngin' stuff, and we're out there, and we're connecting, and the interesting thing is how the world has changed, and letting young people know what an impact seniors have and how they can help seniors. So we're an agency that helps all people.
Great, great. And we do want to remind the folks one more time about the luncheon that we have coming up on the 3rd, the senior luncheon. Can
Yes.
you also remind us about that and how to register?
At 11:30 on Tuesday, December the 3rd. Contact the COA at 752-1717 and say, hey, I want to come to the Christmas party on December 3rd, and we'll sign you up. And it starts at 11:30 and goes until the wee hours of the morning. Probably until about 1 o'clock, 1:30. But come on down. We'd love to see you there, and come celebrate the reason for the season.
Absolutely. Well, great. It's been wonderful speaking with you to talk about the many services of the Council on Aging and all of the great things that you all do to service our community, whether it be Meals on Wheels, whether it be transportation assistance, home repairs, preventing falls, things of that nature. So you guys provide a great service. And most importantly, you provide hope. Hope to the seniors to let them know that they're not alone. And that we are here as a community to support them in their time of aging. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. And thank you all for joining us on Community Insight Broadcast. It's been a wonderful opportunity to share with you some of the great things going on in our community with Council on Aging. And thank you, Mr. Richard Zeck, for your interview today.